Hey everybody, it's Jack and welcome back to another video. I've got another awesome one for you all today. It's going to be an actual CEO interview, so I'll be sitting down and asking the CEO of this company some really exciting questions. It is a company that I featured here on the channel earlier this week to set the tone and do a general overview. So it is Boosh Plant-Based Brands, a recently IPO'd plant-based food company. So if you do want to check out that overview video, I'll link it up above. I also just want to quickly mention that don't worry, there will be some more dividend stock videos coming out on the channel next week. I'll be doing my top 3 dividend stocks for the month of October. So definitely stay tuned for that. I'm super excited to get that one out for you all. But with that being said, let's now jump into the interview with the CEO of Boosh Plant-Based Brands. Alrighty, awesome. Welcome everybody. I am pleased to be joined today by none other than the CEO of Boosh Plant-Based Brands, Mr. Jim Pakulis. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you, Jack. Great to be here.
Oh, great to have you. So before we dive into all the questions I have today, I like to always set the tone, and maybe if you could just give a high-level overview of what it is that Boosh as a business is and what it is you guys do for everyone who's maybe not aware of the company, or maybe this is their first time hearing of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to. First of all, we trade on the Canadian Securities Exchange under VEGI, VEGI, and the OTC QB under VGGIF. Boosh is a gateway for plant-based, nutritional, healthy, non-GMO, gluten-free, heat and eat meals. So we cater to the very active families, kids coming back from school, maybe sports, piano, husband and wife coming in from work. They want something nutritional. But they just don't have time to fix it. So we fulfill that slot in their overall lifestyle, and it's healthy. We're not designed to convert folks into being vegans or even vegetarians. We're flexitarians, right? We are the gateway. We want people to try plant-based foods. So we have 6 fantastic frozen meals. We just rolled out 3 refrigerated meals about a month ago, got them into Whole Foods Market. That's mushroom gravy, chili, and sloppy Joe. And then by the end of the fall, we hope to have shelf-stable foods in there, a plant-based mac and cheese from a company we just recently acquired. So if you go into the grocery store, there are basically 4 different quadrants or sections. There's the frozen, refrigerated, shelf stable, and then of course the produce. We want to be a major participant in 3 of those 4 different areas of the grocery store.
Wow. Okay, that was an awesome background. So now to focus it on you a little bit more, could you maybe give the audience a little bit of your background? I know you have a couple of past experiences of CEOs, but not necessarily in the plant-based industry. So I'm curious as to if you could talk on some of those past experiences and what intrigued you about Boosh and why you made the jump over to Boosh.
Sure. I was one of the first individuals to get involved in the cannabis space back in 2010. I did took a cannabis company public, and at that point, I saw the potential that the cannabis industry could grow into. Obviously, I couldn't guesstimate it was become as large as it is. And I've also been CEO of numerous other small emerging companies, taking them into the public arena and moving forward. The thing I like about the plant-based industry is I think it dwarfs the cannabis industry as far as size. Bloomberg came out a couple months ago with an article saying that the valuation of the plant-based industry by 2050 is going to be worth $1.4 trillion. I mean, just a monster number. We all have to eat. And what we're seeing are millennials and Gen X and Gen Zs being the driving force to eating healthier, to wanting to save the planet, and to be less destructive in the animal kingdom. So how did I get involved in this? I was agnostic. My team and I looked at about 50 different small companies that we have a very strict metrics that we have to follow in order for us to move forward and want to take a company public. We do one every year to 2 years. We're very focused once we get aligned with the company. And we came across the plant-based industry. Then we came across Boosh, Connie Marples, the founder, and she exceeded all of our metrics. With her background and her experience, and that's really what the conversation should be about. 20 years in the food industry, very successful restaurateur back in the 2000s. In fact, she was actually on the list of Condé Nast's most successful restaurant in the world. Fast forward, being a celiac, she has to eat certain foods. So she started preparing plant-based foods,
Wow.
which grew into the fact of her friends saying, we love this stuff. She then aligned herself with a co-packer, started producing the frozen meals, literally drove around in the Boosh mobile in Greater Vancouver, offering it to the different health related grocery stores. And it just took off like wildfire in 2018, 2019. Since then, she was aligned herself with a food broker in Canada, who then brought us with Unify, tied us in with Unify. So that's a little bit of the background of the story. But myself, I was agnostic. I looked at a lot of different industries, but once we found the food industry, the plant-based industry, we go, this is a fantastic opportunity. Really want to jump into it, and we have, and we're committed to it. We're committed to Boosh. We're committed to growing the company to be as fundamental, sound as possible.
Awesome. It's always nice when a company kind of gets formed out of a necessity and rather than just a want. So it's nice to see that Connie formed it based off of her own needs and really something that she can be a customer first and foremost of the actual product itself. So that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. I was just going to add, one of the things your listeners should hear as well is Connie, the founder, and her husband, they're still working 12 hours a day for Boosh. We can talk about the cap table in a minute, but inside ownership of the company is about 28%. And Connie's just busting her tail to grow the company. In other words, this wasn't a situation where we bought the company and the founders are out playing golf and having Mai Tais at 3 p.m. She's really working hard to grow the company, build the infrastructure, build the sales force, create new products, expand, etc.
Awesome. Yeah, it's always nice when the founder still has a huge portion of the plate and is actually at the table. Pardon the pun. Always.
Yeah,
So that kind of leads
exactly.
into my next question. You kind of talked about it a little bit. The fact that the plant-based kind of industry at its peak is really just starting to take off. And over the past 2 to 3 years, it's seen some crazy growth already. 2 to 3 years ago, if you'd asked what the landscape looked like, it would look a lot different in the space. So my question is, over the next 5 to 10 years, where do you really see the industry going? And where do you see Boosh along with the industry?
I see the industry growing certainly geometrically, if not exponentially. Um, eh, One of the first things we did when we aligned ourselves with Boosh was call some food brokers over in Europe. And we thought, well, what the heck? Maybe we can get into Europe. And the food brokers explained that there are so many plant-based food products over there, and the margins are so thin. And to get in would be a Herculean task. So I said, okay, they're 5 years 3 to 5 years ahead of Canada, and I think the U.S. and this timeline is just my humble prognostication. Europe is call it 3 years ahead of Canada, and Canada is a year or two ahead of the United States as far as the movement, the mass movement, getting into the plant-based industry. So to answer your question, I see just a tremendous upside. In fact, I would compare this industry to any other industry as far as the potential upside for investors to get involved. Obviously, do your own due diligence. Make sure you do your research on whatever company you get involved in. As far as Boosh, where do we see Boosh? One, fundamentally sound. Number two, creating consistent revenue streams. So let's talk about that. Organic growth. We're now in over 400 stores throughout Canada. We just aligned ourselves with Thrive Brokerage in the United States, so we'll be getting into the U.S. relatively quickly. In fact, we already shipped some sample products to them, finishing all the paperwork to go ahead and ship into the United States. E-commerce, signed a relationship with Shop VEGI, so we'll have a revenue stream from e-commerce. And then acquisitions. We've already done 2 acquisitions in a relatively short period of time, both relatively small, but we like acquisitions. If the product fits, it has to be a unique product. We don't want to come out with another plant-based burger. We want to come out with something that differentiates ourselves in the marketplace so that in 2 or 3 or 4 years, we're continually growing, and we may be a good candidate for a major, large corporation to come in and want to acquire us. So I want to make sure our table is set, to use your pun, properly over the next 3 to 5 years.
Awesome. Yeah, so you touched on my next question a little bit. The fact that you are already in almost 400 stores in Canada. So is that the growth strategy? Is it to really expand our footprint here in Canada, or is it to go after the US, which of course is always a larger market, probably more competitive? What's the kind of growth strategy? Maybe a mix of the both of them. Can you maybe touch on that?
Sure, Jack. It's the latter. It's a mix of the both. There's 15,000 grocery stores in Canada. We're just, we're rounding off error at this point with 400 stores. 42,000 grocery stores in the United States. I haven't even scratched the surface on that yet.
Wow.
So how do we get into these grocery stores. Take a look back. It was Connie, our broker in Canada, and Unify got us into roughly 400 stores. In the last 6 months, we've put together a very solid sales team. Relatively small, but it's a growing, a real professional sales team within Boosh. So we have high hopes and anticipations of our sales force continually introducing Boosh throughout the community. In fact, we're the lead sponsor for PlanX Expo in Vancouver,
Nice.
November 20th and 21st. So we think we're going to get a lot of exposure there. We have a 2,000 square foot booth, beautiful positioning, etc. So our goal, yes, is absolutely to continue and expand in Canada. Our co-packers in Canada, in Western and Greater Vancouver area. However, as you said, United States is a big footprint, right? 360 million folks, 42,000 grocery stores, as I referenced. So through Thrive, and they have a great relationship with a lot of different grocery stores. I believe we're going to go ahead and and do well in the United States from a revenue generating standpoint. What I don't want to do is a buckshot approach. I don't want us going out there and trying to do Costco in Florida, trying to do Walmart organic in New York, and trying to do something in Illinois. We have to be focused, strategically focused, and that's what we're doing right now, premeditating how we're going to go ahead and expand throughout the U.S. But we also want to be aggressive. The opportunity is there for us to take now, so we don't want to pull back on the horses.
Awesome. Yeah, that seems like a really good strategy. And I'm sure a lot of people are curious about that moving forward. So thanks for that. And my next question is around the fact that you mentioned in Europe and things like that, in the US as well, there's already some competitors in the space, frozen plant-based meals. So really, what sets Boosh apart from the rest, and where do you guys see yourself excelling in?
So, what differentiates us? First of all, we love our alliance with Beyond Meat. Beyond Meat is in several of our products. Don't be surprised if they're in other products as we continue and grow company. We love Beyond Meat. Beyond Meat is the world most recognized plant-based company. So it's wonderful to have this relationship with Beyond Meat. What I don't want to do again is be another plant-based burger. I don't want to compete with Beyond Meat. We would lose. Nor do I want to do a chicken. We want to do things that are unique, right? So we bought a powdered cheese company, excellent, exquisite tasting powdered cheese company. We
Awesome.
acquired a pate company. Root vegetables is the core ingredients of the pate company. The pate tastes fantastic. We love unique products that we believe we can scale over time. Items that fit around the plate, not the burger itself, not the main entry, but items that complement that really is I think our core going forward. Having said that, you can sit down and have a shepherd's pie that we create by yourself or with a loved one. Actually, it's made for two, and it's fantastic. That alone is a standalone, but it is unique as well. The rustic pie is unique. The Mexican Fiesta Bowl. So we try to be as unique as possible, not to duplicate what other people have done in the marketplace, but to be somewhat disruptive, to create our own branding as we move forward.
Yeah, that is great. Creating unique dishes, but also carving out your own kind of niche within the market, not just trying to do better what other people are already doing.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Well stated.
So finally, my last and probably most important question I have for you is, which of the dishes you currently have are your favorites? So there's a Whole Foods near me, and I'm definitely curious to run down and pick up whichever one you say.
Shepherd's pie, baby. Shepherd's pie across the board. I love it, but don't eat the whole thing yourself. It's a big, beautiful entree.
Yeah, that's
Jack,
dangerous.
I do want to talk real quickly about our capital structure, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Very, very unique as an emerging company. A lot of companies will go to the market in an IPO or an RTO with 30, 50, 100 million shares outstanding. Post IPO, we only had 16.5 million shares outstanding. Right now, it's about 17 million. We're very, very frugal with issuing out shares. Number two, and our IPO raised less than $3 million, but we had over 1,100 shareholders involved. We love a huge shareholder base. Market cap right now is less than 20 million, nearest competitor about 80 million. We are trying to be as frugal as possible with every dollar coming in, as conservative. In fact, I don't get a salary. My compensation is tied to warrants. I have to pay 50 cents per warrant. I get 3 million warrants. I have to pay 50 cents per warrant for my compensation. So what does that do? That ties me in with investors. I don't have any side thing, good, bad, or indifferent what happens with the company. I'm tied in. So it's not my first rodeo. And I think if history repeats itself as far as our structure, our capital structure, and the way we can grow the company, it's going to do very well.
Yeah, that's super important that you're keeping current shareholders in mind as well as future shareholders, not planning to dilute them moving forward, and really that yourself are
That's it.
tied in with skin in the game.
Non-dilutive as possible. Well stated. That's what we want to be, as non-dilutive as possible as we grow Boosh.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for taking time out of your busy schedule today, Jim. Your questions and answers were very insightful, and I'm sure the audience will think so as well.
Right on, Jack. Thanks for having me.
So there you have it. That was my interview with Jim Pakulis, the CEO of Boosh Plant-Based Brands. Had an awesome time sitting down with him, and I really enjoy these CEO videos. So I'm curious if you guys enjoy these type of videos. Let me know down below in the comments section whether you want to see more CEO interviews here on the channel. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.